Hello, welcome to the Reds Reaction Show. Yeah, I'm back to let me do another show. I've done Friday Forecast. I'm allowed to do this one. I think it's the first one I've done since we've won. So I'm Chris. As you can tell, I'm rather excited. And today I am joined by Paul. Paul also is first time he's done a reaction show that we've won. So sign of a good omen, mate. And of course, we've got Ray, the regular, who sorts us all out on the forum. How are we, gents?
Good. Very good.
Very good. Much better after that, mate.
I know that is probably the most calmest routine win I think I've ever seen against Arsenal. It's normally a bit of a horrible game, but no, it was good fun. Good fun. So before we start, bit of housekeeping from me, and then we can jump straight into the game. We're on the race to 10k for subscribers. So once we get to 10k, we are going to give away a PlayStation 5 with FIFA 21. So get yourself sorted, Ray. I know that's your bag. I think the last one I had was a Mega Drive. So Christ knows what it'd do for me. And then, of course, the usual thing we have been plugging. The website is live, lfcdt.com, and it also does give you an opportunity that if you want to submit some articles, you can do. We've got some great ones at the moment. We've got a really good one for Rajiv, who's done some, and we've got some good ones on the fall of Italian football and Firmino. Right, that's enough housekeeping. Lineups. What do we think of the lineups?
Well, I'll start. Look, I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. No major issues for me. I caught you guys last night. I don't know whether it was yourself or Avi, Chris. I don't know if it was yourself or Avi. You said Bobby starting and Jota on the bench.
It was a good point. That was probably me.
Oh, okay. And when I listened to it earlier on today, it made perfect sense because obviously Jota had got a lot of minutes in the international games. Bobby's been freshened up. And obviously we've got the game in midweek to consider as well. And having a player who can come off the bench and make an impact is something that we've been lacking, having to rely on the likes of Origi. So I was fine. I was absolutely fine. The midfield, obviously, it raised a few eyebrows within the WhatsApp group. I understand, just speaking to you there, that I didn't go on Twitter. I did. I didn't have time to go on Twitter. I was busy. I was getting dinner done. I just wanted to make sure I was ready for the match at 8 o'clock. So I didn't have any time to go on Twitter. So I obviously, the Milner thing was a surprise, but again, you can kind of understand he hasn't been away. He's fresh. I'm not gonna doubt Jurgen Klopp in that situation. So I was happy enough. I was happy enough with the team at the time that it was announced.
Paul, how was it in your world? Was the meltdowns that? How can we not play Genie? How can we not play Jota? I have a theory that with I think the section of fan base that an hour before the game, everything that's happened in the past just is gone, and everyone goes, "What do you mean we don't play these players? We haven't got a game next week. What are you on about?" I just think it's almost like everyone switches off because this is the only game that ever happens. That's it.
It's like a collective amnesia, isn't it? And all of these reasons are like, Gav goes nuts at me because it's like I don't have Twitter. I barely go on WhatsApp when I'm watching games. I've barely got an Instagram presence, which mostly isn't about football at all, for the exact reasons that all of you are talking about. And you know what? My enjoyment of the game is immeasurably improved by not having to put up with a lot of that, quite frankly. My only shock was that Ron Jeremy was in goal for us tonight. And I tell you what, he's really put the muscle on Ron, hasn't he? He looks amazing. Like, or was it Tom Selleck in Magnum PI? I'm not quite sure.
I think it's more Rick Rude. There's one for the kids.
Do you know what? I tell you what, mate, one of the greatest intercontinental champions of all time, mate, right there. And he's got a few skills between the sticks as well. So yeah, I was very, very happy with it for all the reasons. I fully expected Bobby to start again, fresh, no South American qualifiers. All the players who have probably got the best fitness all started, which is the most important thing. And, getting that kind of performance, I'm sure we're going to talk about it in a moment, from Trent Alexander-Arnold is, again, I don't really get the sort of the hand wringing and the hatred about him not going to England. Because, to be honest with you, I really don't care about the England team at all. In fact, the less our players play for England, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And the fact that he got 3 games off was nothing but an advantage for me. They can have Kieran Trippier as far as I'm concerned. And if Trent never played for England again, like, I'm not bothered. Quite frankly, I'm sure he'd be made up with me. But honestly, I don't see the hate on it. I'm more than happy with it if he's going to get performances like this tonight.
Good. Yeah, I mean, the Trent thing is, I just think it's baffling that he doesn't do stuff. Look, from a Liverpool view, I was happy, and I thought it was a little bit of a game, thinking like he's had an agreement with Klopp to give him a rest. But Klopp's reaction last night on his interview seems to think there was no agreement there. He's just decided he'll pick a couple of lads. To be fair, poor James, yeah, he got ran around by West Brom today. But anyway, we digress. So first half started. I think all you could say is, and you do have that little voice in my head going, the first half was everything but the goal. Mm-hmm. Oh, but unfortunately, this year we've said that quite a few. It's everything but the goal. It just felt like, if anything, we were trying to be a bit too clever. I mean, I was worried, I thought Lacazette or Aubameyang against Phillips, this could be interesting, and they never got near him. And I think that goes down to the midfield three, particularly Fabinho. I just don't think they got a touch.
Yeah, I mean, let's just start with the context of the game. Obviously, the results that we didn't expect earlier in the day, with Chelsea dropping the points and then obviously Leicester losing, that was probably a little bit more predictable. So there was a little bit more pressure, a little bit more anxiety. If we kind of thought maybe going into it, it was a bit of a, let's see what happens. The main game is midweek. I think it changes as a fan. You kind of. I think you must have bought into that game even more. So when the first half goes the way it does, and we're absolutely dominant, and it follows a number of games that we've obviously dropped points in recently, it was starting to get become a bit of a concern, really. I mean, Arsenal was so bad in that first half, and you're just thinking, like, a team like Arsenal, okay, problems and downs, they're very inconsistent, they're still developing under Arteta, but you think to yourself, surely they can't be that bad in the second half. Thankfully, they were as bad, if not worse, in the second half. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, I didn't realise. I mean, I didn't look at the Arsenal side, so I didn't realise Aubameyang was playing. Apart from the fact he was trying to disguise himself and just sort of hang around on one side of the pitch, being sort of lost in the game, sort of thing. That's why that's why you didn't realise he was playing. It was so unbelievable from Arsenal how bad they were. But as far as we were concerned, we were completely dominant and in control. I mean, Fabinho, look, we raved about how he was fitting into that Virgil void that was left earlier in the season. But my God, what we're seeing now over the last few games, that's what we were missing. Kabak and Phillips are perfectly fine and serviceable when you've got a player like that in front of them, shielding and protecting and winning the ball back and pressing and his distribution. I mean, that's what we need between now and the end of the season. Let's not get too bogged down in we've got centre backs playing centre back. Let's just leave it at that. We were so dominant in that first half, but obviously the concern was we weren't putting chances away, and Arsenal were going to get a chance and put theirs away. That was the concern.
Yeah, I mean, that was a concern. I mean, I think we saw in the first couple of minutes, Manny spins Holden, gets past him, and you think, Manny, when he's in form, you go on then, bang it. And he went for a cross, which you're thinking, that's where you had the slight worry, and you probably still have a slight niggle with the likes of Manny and a Firmino, is that they're not taking shots on they would. Whereas if there's a Salah, whether he's in form or not form, he'll take his shot when he thinks it needed. Paul, before we get to the first half, quick question for you. Which was worse, the referee's haircut or Aubameyang's new trim?
I seem to be becoming the expert on facial and hair here. Very interesting. I would have to say I'm going to have to go for Aubameyang because it just looked like something from like The Wire, didn't it? It looked like something like he's been hanging out on a street corner in Baltimore or something. Do you know what I mean? Although it is a close run thing, because I'm wondering what lockdown rule the referee's actually broken to have a FOD like that. And is his barber actually blind where he parked his guide dog?
based on the referee's performance, I think he was pretty blind as well, to be honest. I won't worry too much about that. It's one of those I always think with the haircut of Aubameyang, it's not unfair this, but you're a bit like, do you remember when Moreno had a top knot? And everyone's like, oh. But Firmino had a top knot as well. But Firmino was banging in goals, so no one cared. And I kind of think if you're out of form, you try and keep a low profile. And by his standards, Aubameyang's not in the form. But anyway, back to the game. I mean, the only thing I would say in the first half, there weren't many great chances. The only chance I think we created was the Mane header, which, to be fair, was pretty routine. Other than that, it was very much overhit crosses. The pass before the pass wasn't quite right. I mean, to be fair to Arsenal, the only chance they had was Pepe's header to Rick Rude, and that was about it, to be honest. But I mean, it was really, really limp by Arsenal. Now, I think that's a combination of we made them look limp, because it gave me a little bit of a vibe of this is what we've seen City do, which is, and I think we saw City do to Leicester, who were on a much better side. They couldn't, every time Leicester cleared the ball, it was coming straight back at them. Nothing would stick, and they were the same. We didn't see, I actually thought when Phillips accidentally catches Lacazette and he cuts his eye, I thought, well, this might fire someone up, because it's, no, they just sort of went.
Actual blood being spilled.
Yeah, so you thought, this might fire. No. I mean, the thing that killed them was their best player went off the pitch, Tierney. And once Tierney went off, Cedric Suarez is not going to keep Mo Salah quiet. So, half-time, how are we all feeling?
I was feeling totally fine about it. I kind of wrote down I thought we were composed, controlled, confident, and when the only other good chance I would say in the first half was the one that Milner pulled wide, the volley, which was really, really well worked and not a million miles off. And you just felt like we were knocking on the door, but obviously talking about not taking chances. I think it was up until the first 10 minutes of the second half, we'd only had one shot on target. So there was always that thing in the back of your head as well of this is gonna, you've seen this before where we've put good first half performances in this run and then it all just crumbles in the second half, and other teams come out and have a reaction and then our heads go down and stuff like that. That was the only concern. But to be honest with you, I've not seen any signs of that since what you've been saying about Fabinho being put back in midfield. It's that's been the big difference maker. You can see they call him the lighthouse for a reason, because he is literally the linchpin of this entire team. What he's enabled us to do, and he's enabled the shape to go back to the way it was and also evolve. It just gives you so much confidence that we're going to have that foothold in the game and we can play that game 5, maybe not 10 yards further up the pitch because of the lack of pace of the centre halves, but we've got that confidence to know that we can play the game further up the pitch and put that pressure on the opposition, which is what we're so good at.
Yeah. I mean, second half started, I think first 15 minutes, Arsenal, in accordance to Gary Neville, had a go, as in they actually ran once, which was
two passes together,
which is them having a go. But again, it felt to me first 15, bit more of the same we were seeing, which was it was a good link up play, but it wasn't quite happening. Probably still a little bit of overplaying. And then Klopp probably done something now. He's been criticised a lot for his subs. But Arsenal take off Ceballos and bring on a more defensive-minded player. And Klopp goes, Jota's coming on. And probably most of us, we went, well, that's Bobby off, like for like. No, probably went, no, pre-agreed. Robson's coming off. Miller's left back. We're going 4-2-3-1. We're going to take a risk. And I always feel with Liverpool, when they take risks and are a bit more direct, that's when we're at our best. And I do think in the last probably 2-3 months, especially in the league, we've stopped being risk takers. We've actually gone very conservative, I think, because we're worried of what's behind us and what's been stringing us out. But I just felt once we went 4-2-3-1 and went, we're just going to go direct now. And you're going to have to try and cope with the four of us and see how it goes. And it seemed to free up Thiago, who I thought had a good first half, but had a better second half because he had more space for him to do his passing range. When you have Fabinho next to it, it does make life a lot easier. But I don't know what you guys thought.
Yeah, I mean, just on my feelings at halftime, I mean, I was incredibly concerned. I hate halves like that where you're so dominant, but you don't really create an awful lot, and you expect the reaction. I mean, I was a bit like David Snutch in the comments here. I mean, very irritated is our David for you changing the comments so quickly, Chris. But
I've noticed that's why I changed his very quickly.
Chris thinks he's on Twitter still. That's why he's switching him out so quickly.
I try to keep 3 or 4 conversations. I'm very excitable. It's not very often I present a win. It's nice.
itchy trigger finger over there, like.
I know.
Yeah. So I was a bit like David. I was a bit irritated, and there was actually a stat went up. It was about 55 minutes in, and we had 7 shots to Arsenal's 2, and both Arsenal shots were on target, and only one of our shot was on target. So it was a bit concerning. But you're right. I mean, you know what I was saying earlier about having the ability to bring on a player like Jota. And he probably does come on for Bobby if we're 1-0 up potentially. But you're right, he takes the risk. Obviously realizes that's a game that it's must win. Well, they're all must win, but it's a must win given what a boost we've had in earlier in the day. And when Jota comes on, I mean, it's absolutely amazing how much of an instant impact that fella makes. Like, I know we sort of rave about him, and you know, there's lads in the WhatsApp group who would say, you know, if it wasn't for him picking up that injury against Midtjylland, then you know, top 4 probably isn't even a question now. You know, he was at the peak. He was at the peak of his powers. Gets injured, a massive miss. But my God, what a ball from Trent Alexander-Arnold for that first goal. I mean,
he loves a header, doesn't he?
Oh, Jota.
he loves a header, Jota, doesn't he?
Didn't he score with two headed goals he scored for Portugal?
Three headed goals. Yeah. For such a small fella, he does half love a header. I mean, I think I'd looked at my notes. I actually made notes for once on a game, and I think I put 62 minutes, not even a shot to work the keeper yet. 63, 1-0. So shows it was good. But I mean, that ball from Trent, that's the thing we've been waiting for a little while. That's when he's on song. That's unplayable, unstoppable, I would say. I mean, I've seen a few people criticizing the keeper. I don't think the keeper could do anything. I would criticize 2 centre backs how he's got between him. But I think at that pace, I don't think he's safe from that distance. But I do wonder where's Chambers on the cover, or why is Gabriel getting underneath it? He's got enough time to see it.
Yeah, Leno wouldn't have gotten anything onto that. You know, he would have needed a good, strong 2 hands behind that, and it just wasn't in the position for him to do that. So it was incredibly well taken. It's funny, Chris, because I made notes for the first time. Actually, maybe we're trying to become professionals at all of this. You know what I mean?
No chance.
Chance to be a fine thing, but I literally did the same thing as you. I put like the new shape is a little all over the place. Jota and Salah are too close together. Next minute, goal. It was just absolutely brilliant.
Shows what we know, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Because it was just such an incredible, like, you could not have put it in a better position for Diogo to get his head on. It's like the cross already did the work for him. All Jota had to do is just get his head on it and redirect it. That's all it was. So he did phenomenal with that. And, you know, obviously it all rolled on from there. And, you know, it was nice to see kind of a little bit of, shall we say, normal business resuming.
Yeah, so then my next bit of my notes I've got is 67 minutes, delaying game. Cedric is doing a dying swan routine. It was just the emotion, and it was brilliant acting. It's like Platoon. And then 68, 2-0 to make Salah get his 93rd league goal in 150 games, which is mad. To put that into context, now before this gets clipped up, that is 1 goal more than Thierry Henry. I'm not saying he's Thierry Henry. I'm saying Thierry Henry did 92, 150, and Thierry Henry is magnificent. So to do it at the same rate as him, you've got to say that's some. I mean, it also highlights how ridiculous Alan Shearer was, because I mean, Alan Shearer's got something like 112 and 150, which is just ridiculous. But Salah does what Salah does, and it's a lovely cheeky nutmeg through the keeper.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler couldn't resist bringing up, you know, Thierry Henry destroying us with hat-tricks and stuff like that. Couldn't resist getting a pop in. I mean, it's, you know, the finish, you know, the nutmeg is sublime. I actually think in that situation when Gabriel goes down on his arse, I think you see Harry Kane barrel into him and get a penalty in that situation. By the way, probably won't get picked up at all, but you know, Mo just skips past them and he just slots it in. And to be honest, when he scores that goal, like when it gets to 2-0, that is an absolute accurate measure of how dominant we've been in that game. Like, no one could deny that 2-0 is probably a fair reflection of how those 68 minutes have gone in the lead up to that point. Like, what can you say about him? I mean, he's often causes debates when he's having quiet games or quiet spells. He actually could have had a hat-trick tonight. You know, he could have had one. He's one-on-one with the keeper not long after, and then at the end, obviously, that would have been some assist to end it. Like the cameo appearance from Alisson PI, as someone's called him in the comments. Like, that's literally the only thing he did all game, was potentially would have got an assist. Like, the camera didn't even go close up on that moustache until the 94th minute. Like, that's how ridiculous the situation was as far as a threat on our goal.
The way Arsenal attacked second half, I'd rather just showed Alisson for 5 minutes, because let's face it, it was going nowhere near him. It'd have been more interesting had I just watched that instead. I mean, if you're being hypercritical of Liverpool, I would actually say we actually missed the easier chances at 2-0. I think Salah goes through, hits it right at the keeper. Mane, bless him, just can't buy a goal at the moment. It was so dominant, and I think it said it all when they went, right, we'll take Aubameyang off. They clearly have decided they need to concentrate on Thursday nights to get themselves. I mean, they have got a winnable tie, I would say. It's a semi-final, isn't it, for them, for the Europa? So, quarter-final. It's a very winnable quarter-final, I would say, for them. I think United have a similar situation. So I could see why you go, let's not start risking players. And then I missed Genie coming on until I turned around and saw him take a shot. I obviously closed my eyes for a couple of minutes. And then that man again, Jota, makes it 3-0. Gabriel being, as I would describe, lazy, just chips it into nowhere. Trent picks it up straight to Salah. He doesn't even react. And then the finish is just a lovely finish. If anything, he just gets in there ahead of Mane. And it was just nice to see him. But look, we just can't stop him scoring. Well, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
glad you both agree. Glad you both agree.
Swiftly moving on. Exactly. I mean, and it's funny because I was sort of quite proud of myself, actually, because in my notes on 50 minutes, I was like, Jota would make all the difference here. And then he comes on and he does that. And you could just see it all over it. It was just so well set up for him to come on and make that difference. And just the hunger that kid's got for goals and contribution, you just can't buy that, where, say, for example, like, players who may be slightly older and are thinking about the game more intelligently, Jota is just a quintessential Klopp player, in that the kid will run through walls for you, but he's got end product as well. And it's phenomenal to see. And just how, like we were saying, the difference he makes in how, like, he creates space, because the way he leads the line is just fantastic. And it just gives you so much space and so many options. So just wonderful to have him back, and wonderful to see him firing all cylinders just in time for midweek.
Do you know what I love about Jota? It's nothing to do with what's going on the pitch. I love the fact that he's won nothing, because the hunger that lad is going to have now, Champions League is absolutely on as far as I'm concerned. It was when the draw got made. It's even more so after tonight. I think we're a real danger in that competition now for everyone. No one will doubt that now. I love the fact that and I think Thiago's got a point to prove as well. Everyone's written him off. He would love not more to be lifting another Champions League at the end of the season, back-to-back Champions League for him. I love those elements. I love the fact that this team's being written off. We're now back in a race for fourth. Chelsea 2 points. I mean, let's not underestimate the potential for Leicester to fall off a cliff again, especially with the end of the season. They've got to come up four really tough games to end the season.
Well, they've got West Ham next week, haven't they? And then they have Chelsea, United, Tottenham as their last three games, which is a bit of a brutal run in that for them. Just a quick one, Jonathan. Of course, how could we forget? We need to give a big shout out to Big Nat first, marauding into the box. I think it was like 75 minutes. You got Phillips playing like Cafu. I was just like, this one, you're
and
taking.
It was a great ball into the box as well, wasn't it? Only needs somebody late with the run in, and it would have been another shot on target at least.
That's when you're taking the piss, when you got Phillips playing right wing.
I think Robbo's off at that stage, isn't he? But if Robbo's on, I think he's coming in and absolutely leathering that into the bottom corner.
I mean, to be fair to Milner, he's probably going, "Sod that, come on, lads, I'm 36 now. Come on, give me 5 minutes. Don't play with." And then, in fairness, we're able to rest Kabak for the last 5 minutes and give Reece Williams, again, a little bit of confidence boost for him, because look, Reece Williams only comes on for those sort of situations, but look, gives him a little bit of confidence. So, in terms of the team, who's your guys' man of the match?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, I'd have to go Fabinho. I mean, as much as Jota come on and did make a huge difference in the impact of it, the overall performance over the 90 and how Fabinho allowed us to build a platform to create that kind of performance, to bring that kind of result home. He was just absolutely monstrous. And I've got to say, I think Thiago wasn't far behind him. A lot of people will know how much I've ripped into him this season. And I've not been happy with him one bit. But for me, I think that was actually probably his best game in a hyper turquoise shirt so far. I thought he was absolutely brilliant, and he's improving by the week.
I've never known you, Thiago, criticism. I've never heard it.
Oh, mate, I've absolutely thrown him under the bus on many occasions this season.
Have you? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I've done a few shows where we've done that. Fair enough.
Oh, sorry, you were being ironic. Sorry.
I was. And it's even more funny that you didn't pick it up. Ray, who's man of the match for you?
Well, look, you could give it to probably 4 or 5 players on that pitch tonight. I'd just to be different. I wouldn't disagree with Fabinho, but just to be different, I'm going to say Trent, because after everything that's gone on over the last couple of weeks, and what's being written now about him not going to the Euros. I mean, what better way to sort of answer your critics than to really show that you are the best right back, in the country. And if that's not recognised by Southgate or England, then that's the hard lines to them, because they're missing the trick big time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, the ball, as I've said before, the ball he puts in, none of our other fullbacks can do that. So even if you're not going to start him and you need to break a low block down, that's what you bring on. That's what Spain or Germany would do if they had that sort of player. They would say, well, even if I'm not going to start him, I'll have him around. One shout out for Alisson's moustache to be man of the match, which is... It is quite magnificent, so it is fair enough. I mean, look, I think Fabinho's probably the right answer. I mean, he just makes everything so much easier for us, and he's so dominant. But he always, to me, looks like he never breaks a sweat, which is ironic. I mean, the only thing I do think is funny with Klopp is this is your chat. We're 3-0, giving Gini a rest. This is good, isn't it? He still throws him on and leaves Keita. I do think Klopp's got a Twitter account, and I think that's him trolling everyone. Going, I'm not even, you all want Keita. I'm not even going to bring him on. I'm going to bring Gini on, who's knackered. I'm going to give him 10 minutes. Come on. So,
2022. Watch this space. 2022, Naby, lad.
Is that what you're saying? Didn't you say that? He said to me last season as well.
Only taken 4 years, like, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, look, any Liverpool player, I hope they do well. I just don't get the vitriol around some players who, for me, are just never available enough, But maybe that's just me. I could be wrong. But anyway, listen, so last question for both of you. Do we make top 4? Paul?
Yes. It was never not on the cards for me, and I think we make it now.
Cool. Right.
Yeah, last game of the season. I think we secure last game of the season.
Cool. I'm going to say it's done before the Palace game, and then we're celebrating going into the Champions League final. There you go. There's always a clip up later and have a laugh at me about. Anyway, listen, thanks for joining us. It is now 10:30. I've kept you all for long enough. So, listen, we can all watch a match of the day now and actually enjoy it and go, God, Liverpool have won, and it actually means something. So, anyway, listen, thanks again, Ray and Paul, for jumping on. Tomorrow, the Fatback 4 is back on with Gav and the lads. So, I'm sure they'll be dissecting this game in a lot more detail than I've done. And then, Ray, are you on Monday with the forum?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Yeah. Any agenda sorted yet, or
not yet? No, we only spoofed that on the day.
Fair enough. And no doubt there'll be midweek fix. We'll be on with Jamie. There'll sure to be another carnage, and then you lovely people get the delights of me on Friday. So until then, take care of yourselves, and we will see you all soon.